Hey guys, a cardiac muscle contraction is very similar to a skeletal muscle contraction. The end is the same. The myosin and actin slide to contract the muscle. The beginning with the neurotransmitters is different. So let me show you. First, we're going to draw a cardiac muscle cell. And this is being controlled by two different types of nerves. We have our sympathetic fight or flight nerves, and we have our parasympathetic rest and digest nerves. So our sympathetic, which is known as fight or flight, and that is going to be nerves and also your gland that sits on top of your kidney, which is your adrenal gland. And this is what we're drawing for the end of a nerve. This is an axon terminal of a nerve. And your adrenal gland sits on top of your kidney, kind of like this, and produces, of course, adrenaline, which is also called epinephrine. Same thing. So this is releasing epinephrine into your bloodstream, also called adrenaline. Your sympathetic nerves release something called norepinephrine. Don't let that confuse you. It's just a precursor to epinephrine. Think of it as the same thing. And sometimes we shorten it to NE. The receptor for adrenaline is on the cell membrane. I'm going to draw it like a W. It is called the beta adrenergic receptor. Don't let the name throw you off. Adrenergic is just for adrenaline. And when this gets activated, it's going to excite the cardiac cells. So the cardiac cells, they're going to keep pumping no matter what. All this is going to do is it's going to influence how fast it's contracting, increasing heart rate or decreasing heart rate. So it does that by increasing the amount of calcium released, right? And remember, the end is the same. So it's going to be the sarcoplasmic reticulum, myosin, actin. So we have an increase in calcium release, which is going to bind to more troponin, which is going to contract more of those units. So we call that excitatory. And the effect is that it increases heart rate. So the rate that the heart is pumping is going to be faster. Now, our rest and digest nerves are called our parasympathetic. And that is rest and digest, because when we're eating, after we eat a meal and when we're resting, this is the nervous system that's activated. You're either in one of these modes all day long, constantly. It switches between them based on your activity and based on the needs of your body, right? This one, it's going to be sending the energy to your skeletal muscles, your heart, your lungs. It's going to prepare you for, well, fighting or running, but it's going to prepare you for anything during the day you might need those muscles for. It doesn't need to be extreme like getting in a fight, right? And then this is going to send our blood or energy to our digestive organs, and it's going to calm our heart rate. So the nerves that control this, the parasympathetic nerves, are going to release a neurotransmitter you are familiar with, acetylcholine, right? Same thing, made by chat inside the cell, and then it moves when calcium moves it to the cell membrane. Snare helps it move across and out into the synapse. So it's all the same. The difference is the receptor that sits on the cardiac cell, the acetylcholine receptor, is actually, it's a different acetylcholine receptor than in the skeletal muscle cells. Don't worry about that. Just call it the acetylcholine receptor and think it has the opposite effect in a cardiac cell. So the acetylcholine binds to it. We'll call it the acetylcholine receptor. And instead of it opening an ion channel like it does in the skeletal system to let sodium ions in this case, it's connected to an enzyme called a G protein. And that enzyme activates some other enzymes, other enzymes, other enzymes. Basically, the result is that it's going to be inhibitory and slow the heart rate. And it does this by decreasing the amount of calcium available to troponin. So we're just going to learn it causes a decrease in calcium, which we call inhibitory. And the net effect is that it's going to decrease the heart rate. Okay, now remember, same contractile unit, the myosin and actin, the thick filament and the thin filament. When the calcium binds to it, it's going to bring those together, which is going to cause the whole the whole heart to get shorter and thicker. And then when it relaxes, it goes out. So bump, 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 bump. So when we have adrenaline, when we have epinephrine, it's going to do that faster. Bump, 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 bump. And whenever we have acetylcholine, it's going to do it slower, like when we're going to bed after we've eaten a big meal. And so the acetylcholine is going to make it bump, 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 bump. Okay. I hope you all have a very parasympathetic day.